Welcome to Shrewsbury Flaxmill Maltings, birthplace of the skyscraper. Brothers Thomas and Benjamin Benyon were Shrewsbury wool merchants who invested in John Marshall's flax spinning business in Leeds. When one of their mills was damaged by fire, they agreed to finance a new mill with John and insisted that it be built here in their hometown. On hand in Shrewsbury were Charles Bage, with the expertise to design a fireproof mill in iron, and William Hazeldine, whose foundry could build it. Right here, starting in 1796, was the first place anywhere in the world that a multi-storied building was made with an iron frame. The aim was to reduce fire risk. But this technological innovation also meant that structures could be built higher using more floor area. So the main mill here led the way for skyscrapers, which made modern cities possible, and they've changed the way we live and work right across the world. As an early steam-powered textile factory, the flax mill depended on a cheap supply of coal for its steam engines. Coal was shipped here by a canal, completed at the same time as the main mill. This was a flax spinning mill, turning fibre from the flax plant into linen thread. At places like this, work was organised into a new system of production, with specialised processes in purpose-built buildings on a single site. They were called manufactories. Factories. Hundreds of people worked here at a time, thousands across the several generations. Most were women and children. In the early days, there were no laws limiting the hours of work or protecting workers from dangerous machinery or unhealthy working conditions. In the 1830s, adults worked 69 hours a week, children about 35 hours. Many of the children were from local families. Some orphaned or destitute children were signed over to the mill by their parishes across the country. 2 apprentice houses were built to house them. They had a bed, were fed and clothed, and had no choice but to work in the mill. The Benyon brothers and Charles Bage left the partnership with John Marshall before long to set up their own flax mill at Castlefields, about a mile away. Flax was imported for processing here, and the finished linen thread was exported across the world. Flax is hard to process and expensive, but with his commercial sense and personal drive, John's business thrived. His flax spinning business became one of the largest in Europe. Even a business as successful as Marshall's was bound to change in time. As competitors caught up and markets changed, it started to lose its commercial advantage. Marshall's sons and grandsons struggled to match his success when the business passed into their care. In 1886, the steam engines came to rest. The machinery was sold off and the business closed. The site slumbered. In 1897, along came William Jones of Shrewsbury. He bought the site and set about making it into maltings. The floors of the main mill and cross mill were smoothed over with concrete so that barley soaked in huge new water tanks could then be spread out across the flat floors. Many of the windows of the old buildings were blocked up to control light and humidity inside, helping the barley to germinate. And the kiln was built. It roasted germinated barley into malt for use in brewing beer elsewhere. In 1897, William wasn't the only one celebrating. Marking Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee that year, he set up a crown on a new hoist tower. Look up when you walk around, it's still here. Unlike the flax mill workforce, nearly everyone who worked in the maltings was a man. The work was hard, but many say they enjoyed their time here, doing a job to be proud of, and getting a beer ration along with their wages. Like the flax mill business before it, the Maltings thrived here for many years. Into the 1980s, £3 million worth of Shropshire barley was still being processed into malt here. But in time, traditional maltings like these were overtaken by larger, more efficient facilities. So finally, in 1987, the gate clanged shut again, and the site slumbered again. In 2005, English Heritage, now Historic England, bought the site, seeking to secure its future. It's already thriving with the activities of the Friends Group set up by local people in 2010. The pioneering use of iron as a building frame right here is the foundation for modern construction, making skyscrapers and today's cities possible. So this site is internationally important. Take a look around and imagine the opportunities this historic site offers with a new role in its third century.